Welcome to another CEO Wisdom podcast with Alain Garnier, Alain Garner, I guess in English, CEO at Jamespot. We're going to talk about SaaS, cloud, digital, and everything in between today. This podcast is brought to you by my podcasting agency. It's called podfire.com. If you want to start a podcast, if you want to scale a podcast, if you want to monetize a podcast, I can be your man. You can go to podfire.com if you want to monetize podcasting the unconventional way with some interesting outreach tactics, the same that I used to get Alain on today. Alain, welcome to the pod. Tell me a bit more about yourself and tell me a bit more about Jamespot.
Hello, Charles. Very pleased to talk with you in this podcast. So, Janspot, is the company, is the third company I found, and because I'm a co-founder, and it's a SaaS company, a SaaS B2B, based in Europe, most precisely in France. And we are, proposed to the market a very new digital workplace with some very interesting features and benefits for all companies. And it's a bootstrap company, bootstrap that is very now new, and about 5 million turnover this year.
And it's a software agency, right? So
Yeah,
like
we provide we build the software. It's our software. It's because we have some new innovation, and the work we do needs to be developed. So a main part is research and development about those the Genspot tool. So yeah, we are a software company.
so a SaaS. And okay, 5 million turnover. How many employees? How many clients?
50 employees and about 300 customers. We are in the medium market. It's not small SMEs, not large account. We are in the middle of the market. Deers, are you familiar, I think, about this, rabbits, deers, elephant, and and whales.
Wells. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we
Yes.
have we have mainly elephants and deers. That's our, hunting game.
How do you hunt them? How do you bring them back home?
Yeah, because we don't kill animals. We bring them home and then to make them grow. In SAS, I say something to this because we always say, salespeople are hunters. I say, no, 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 you are not hunters. You are farmers because you have to keep them alive when they are home, as you say. And then, yeah, how will we get them back home? In the first times of Gemspot, it was mainly, networks of. I've done sales a lot of time, and then the second part of Gemspot growth, it will be a lot of inbound marketing because of and it's still the main part of what we do. And we have added last year, outbound marketing. So the more the growth come to, you have to change your channels. It's not always the same.
Right. The outbound, do you refer to cold email and use such tools as Lemlist, for example?
Yeah. It's cold email, but it's also cold call because it works in certain, markets. In some, it doesn't work anymore. You can phone and nobody answer. But there are other parts where in the public sector, for instance, it works a lot in France.
Because your pricing, it starts at €7 per user per month, right? So how do you bring an ROI to, let's say, phone calls, right? It's really expensive to call that many people. You need the right phone number, you need the sales resources and so forth. So how do you monetize that?
Well, imagine that Jamespot is the when we bring to a customer, it's for all employees. So 7 euros per employees. It costs it make 20 about 1,000 bucks a year. It's our what we sell. So yeah, you can phone. You can phone. It costs, but it's still, the CAC, customer acquisition cost, still interesting. Uh, we are trying to not be far than 1 year of customer acquisition cost. And in Bootstrap, you don't have choice. You can't, lose money. So yeah, and how we do it, mainly we have a lot of database. And we have LinkedIn database coming with Lemlist give numbers, and it's a way to make it. And the most of time, as you say the first, you don't call people cold call. You have a start with a formula, and the people give his number. So that's I would say it's middle outbound and inbound. It's inbound for a part, but it's outbound because you need to get back to the customers to wake it up. And you see, and that's the best way we do sales today.
Right. So you bootstrapped to 5 million. You've been at it for 18 years. I see a commonality with French companies and French founders, and one is that first they last in one business a lot of time, and the second one is that they're very transparent on their numbers, vs like American entrepreneurs or Canadian ones. Why do you think that is, these two things? First, lasting a very long time with one business and being focused, and two, being very transparent about their numbers.
The time you are on a business is because you are passionate on it or not. For me, it is the main question as a CEO. And I still in Jamespot story because it's so amazing what we do in the digital workplace landscape. Imagine in 2005 when I start, there was not social networks for enterprise. That's what first innovation. Now, for instance, we have launched a virtual offices, with avatars like a video game. Because when you are in remote, you need something like this. This is the new innovation we do. So that's why I stay in Jamespot, because it's so fun and interesting to build. And not because so the long time. I say to you, it's a third company. The second one, I did it. It was a huge growth, but it was not interesting for me. I could develop, but so I stop and I sell the company. So you see, for me, that's the reason why you stay in a company or not. And in the other question, transparency, our world is getting the more and more transparent. If you see Jansport, for instance, for all the employees, they have access to all information except to salary, because in France, in Europe, it's not totally accepted now. But it will be in the future. But compared to my previous story, in this one, all employees have access to all data. How many we sell to which consumer, how many we spend for uh, suppliers, what are the numbers of day we put on a project, what are the list of the roadmap, whatever question you can ask, they have access to all. So yeah, it's a very good thing. It's for me, it's very more interesting to do strategy like this. As this, I'm a CEO strategist, and I am not, a information keeper. I'm, I just try to find a way with my team, and they love this a lot. We do, I can tell you, we do shows when we put numbers together. It's a show. It's stay 3 hours, and we make music, and we make numbers. We make a quiz, with like a games, and it's kind of a show now. So yeah, it's a change of the way of employee lives, their company.
What challenges have you faced in that 18 years? I mean, you passed through the 2008 crisis. Did you went to the dot-com boom? No. Yes, you probably did.
In my first company, So in my first company, it was not bootstrap. It was, we have take funds, and I lived at this time, when the plane gets into the towers. At the same times, I've got in the fax. Remember, there were fax. Just to tell you, it was fax at this time, and the VCs send fax to say we can sell all investment now. for now. So I lived this the first time, yeah. And crises are terrible for funding company because at this time the bubble get out. What to say, in 18 years, the more difficult is to stay year after year into the market, the best solution, because it's I would say it's not easy, but when you start a new business, of course, you have a new idea and all the things before were in the past. But 3 years after, it's like for love, the love for couples. It's 3 years, and after what's happened, you have to stay in love. You have to stay, in this passion, and you have to stay in the market, and it's difficult. That's why one of my main competitors in Microsoft. Microsoft is so, for me, is impressive because of his longevity. I'm not so impressive when there are booming companies in 5 years. Okay, but what next? So, for instance, to be able to reinvent itself, it's a real challenge for CEOs, not to make only, a deal, okay. That's for me, that's why repeat entrepreneurs are for me very more interesting. That's one that success so much because sometimes you are so lucky, but you can't be lucky 3 or 4 times in a companies. You see?
Right. So what habits, what patterns, what systems have you put forward in that long career of yours to make sure that you're successful? And when you're facing challenging or stressful times, habits that get you through these times.
I would say the first thing is to be around with people's, your co-founders, and your comex and your employee, and to, as we say, listen to the market, listen to them, listen to the people, not to think that you are the solution. You are, the more the time goes, the more I do the pattern to put, to stay in passion and to see in face the data and to say to people, okay, that's the fact, and sometimes are not good. So what we can do, and never say it's your fault. The problem is my sales guy. The problem is no. The problem is not people. The problem is how together we make something. And my job is to put those people working together, and not to say the problem is somebody else. Even somebody else can be VCs. Somebody else can be the market. Somebody else can be the customers. No, no, no. The problem is what we do. What we do positively. And that's my boussole, my north,
Yeah, accountability as a leader, you can carry more. That's just the nature of things. Jamespot itself, how do you decide what next feature to launch? Because it seems like it's a toolkit for pretty much everything. So how do you decide what's the priority?
roadmap is always something very exciting and something very, very frustrating because we would like to do so much and we have to choose every time. So it's the same. I have a matrix of decision, and then we have to put into this matrix of 4 things. One part is I need to make upsell for my customers. My customers need to be happy, not to churn. The other thing is I have not to lose when I am into competition because this is very important too. The other one is I have to be innovative. What can I bring that is only me I can do this, voila. And the other thing is what is the market do? Even if it's dumb, sometimes I have to do it. So you sort of 4 elements, and my team try to arbitrate every day to be sure that we are not only focused in one dimension. And I see so many companies that are too much innovating, but forgetting the customers, or only listen to the customers and forgot that the market is moving, or forgetting focus on the customers and forgetting that we still to be innovative and so on. So that's my, balance I try to do. but it's very difficult, because you have to always readjust this. But in a long term, if you are honest about yourself, you can see that you have done too much for one part or the other one, and you can balance it the next year, you see?
Right. What would be your goals for next year?
For next year, one of our goals is to we are getting more into Europe, because now we have Spain. We have our first customer in Spain, so we are so proud of this because it's not so easy. Europe, is very difficult to to tackle because every country is very different, so you have to. It's not so easy. So we are very proud of this. So getting more in Spain, maybe opening another country. And the other thing is, I told you about channels. So for us, it's channels and indirect with selling with old consultancy firms that now are very interesting about Jamespot, and it's a huge way to go into the growth because a big consultancy when they say to one customer, you have to take this solution. It's changed it all. You are not selling anymore. You are just helping your customer to buy your, your solution. You are not selling. When you have to sell, you have to explain, you have to convince. When consultancy firms say, oh, I think Jamespot is a good solution, then you only have to say, oh, you should take this one, these apps, and then you help the customer to buy. So it's so very more easy. So that's our two challenges for 2024. Staying on the same way, it's as you say, turning the wheel. That's you told me my turning the wheel for everything, for the product, for the sales, for the marketing, for financing, internal staffs. We have a strong culture. For instance, we have a lot of rituals. Rituals, we do a lot of things inside. I'm very careful of this and to choose the good people. So turning the wheel for all this to progress each month, each year. And at the end, that's the way we still the leader in France.
Right.
Because we are the leader in France. I didn't tell you. We are the leader in SaaS in France into the digital workplace with a more big company standalone.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you are. I also see the microphone here. What about the podcast for next year?
We do a lot of podcasts, and I like the podcast, and more. Because I think I do something called We Are Media. That's mean we are media, and we still a media. So every Friday at 15, I do a podcast live, video podcast. For French people, it's in French, but dealing for all digital stuff, analyzing, and I give my opinion. It's not, Jamespot podcast only. It's a Alain Garnier podcast because I think we need to share what we think about the world, as you say, be more transparency.
Very cool. Where can people find out more about you, Alain, and Jamespot?
They can find into of course, on the website, my LinkedIn, and we have all the podcasts that call Bonjour les spotters. That's the name of the podcast. Bonjour les spotters. Hello spotters, and it's in all on Spotify and so on. But it's a podcast, for digital things and for all that are curious of what's happening in France and Europe about sovereignty and so on.
Love it. That was Alain Garnier and Charles Cormier for another CEO Wisdom Podcast.com.